G'day all, it's Colin from PCTLC. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be having a look at creating our own custom layout and also saving our own custom layout and saving our own custom theme. So let's get into it. First of all, we're going to go to Mate Tweak and have a look at what we're currently on. Now I'm using the Contemporary as a base. Now the reason for that is because it has, not because the windows are on the left, because I want my windows on the right, but we'll do that later. It has the global menu and it also has the heads-up display. In LibreOffice, heads-up display. So I want to take advantage of those features in my own custom layout. So what we're going to do first is we're going to delete the bottom panel. We're going to start very much from fresh. The menu, unlock, remove. Right click on the little indicator to the left of the font there, unlock. Right click again and remove. Unlock the indicator applet, remove, and the clock, unlock and remove. So what we essentially have is a blank canvas to start our own custom layout. So I'm going to build my own layout here and see how we go. So another little indicator there, I'm not quite sure what that is, but we'll remove that. So first of all, I'm going to add a new panel. Going to add some items to the panel. First of all, brisk menu, add, right click, move. Next one we're going to do is show desktop, add, right click, move. And then we're going to put in a window list, add. Right click that little indicator, move. Now one thing I'll show you here, if you move all the way to the left, it'll go to the far left hand corner. But to stop that from happening, you've got lock to panel, right click and lock to panel. So those two are both locked to the panel, so they can't be moved. There's no selection to move them. So and the other good reason for that is so when you move this one, it'll stop right up against there. If you keep moving it, it won't go any further because they're locked to the panel. So that's good. We're going to also put in an indicator applet. Right click that, move to the far right. Right click, lock the panel. Right click this one, lock the panel. I'm going to lock everything to the panel because I'm hoping that I've had some odd things happen when I've saved some panels in Ubuntu Mate and things move around a little bit. So I'm going to choose to lock everything to see whether that stops that from happening. But sometimes when you restart your computer, everything's back in place. So I think it's just a refresh thing that needs to happen. So now the top panel, we'll add to panel a clock, add that, and we will add, well, I want to add a global menu. So I want my clock on the left, so move that to the left. Right click and lock the panel. Right click on the indicator, lock the panel. Now with this top one, we're going to right click and go to properties and we're going to untick expand and we're going to auto hide. So now what we've got, if we go to our office and open LibreOffice Calc, got our heads up display, sorry, wrong one, heads up display, and our menu, global menu up here. So if you open that up, you got your time and your global menu, and it's also out of your way when you're working, so that's pretty handy too. And whenever you want it, just move your mouse up there and you've got your menu and your time available. Next, we're going to add a new panel again. Right click, properties, put it on the left. I'm going to make this look a little bit like a Unity desktop, just like the Mutiny. Now what I'm going to do is choose some things to put on it. I'm not going to use a dock. I'm going to use just drag all my applications from the menu onto the panel. So Pluma, LibreOffice Calc, LibreOffice Writer, Mate Terminal. I also want the Mate Tweak. That comes in handy for me, Mate Tweak. And also Kaja or Kaha. So because the menu was in the way, you can choose to move it wherever you want. So it doesn't really matter. I prefer that up next to the Firefox because they're my two main things that I use. There's a spread out a bit, so we'll just move them back into place. Let's just try a little bit closer there. Oops. No, that doesn't work because I probably went a bit too close. There we go. Okay. Right click on that left panel, properties. We're going to go to background. We're going to use a solid color. We're going to choose a similar color that I already had. So select that, looks good. Drop the opacity down or transparency down to 30% roughly. You can see your background there through that. And we're going to auto hide. So we've got two auto hide panels in place. Our brisk menu, our Windows list. So if we open a few things, tweak, and we've got also show desktop. So that's my creation. Now what we can do is we go to Control Center, go to Appearance. Now I want to make my own, I'm going to customize. I've got some themes here. I'll leave the links in the bottom just in case anybody likes these themes. I'm going to use the adapter for the window controls, which is everything inside, not the border, top window border there, just inside, all the white bits and the boxes and all these boxes and selections and all that. That's what all that is. Window border I'm going to use, wrong way, adapter. And the icons I will be choosing the Papirus with Breeze Actions. Close that. Now I can go to background here, or I can right click and change desktop background, same thing. Now I've got my own selection here, but if I wanted to add one of my custom wallpapers in my home folder, it's fairly bright. In my home folder I have, if we go to our menu up the top here and a view hidden files, in my home folder I have a .wallpaper, and that's where I keep my wallpapers. I keep them off the system, out of the way, so nobody sees them or accidentally deletes them or anything like that. So I go to home, .wallpaper, and the Mate Red is the one that's already in there, so I'm going to choose the Mate Red. That's the name I've given that one. And then we'll go back to theme. We save as. I'm using the Adapta Theme with the Papirus icons and the Mate red background. So I'm just going to give it a description. You can write a description in here if you like, but I'll remember what that is just by the name. So then I can choose to save background and save notification theme and save. Now that I've done that, the one thing that sometimes I do is get carried away and forget that I've actually created some panels and a custom panel layout and forget to save it. So let's make sure we do that before we go any further. So as you can see, you've only got those to choose from. So I'm going to save as. I'm going to call it Coles Mate Panel. You can just choose to be one name, but I don't think it can have spaces in it. I'm not sure, but I just make sure we've got a dash in between. Click OK. My panel layout is saved. Oh, the one thing I forgot to do is put the buttons on the right. So if we was to go to the Mate tweak again, go to Windows, you can put your buttons on the right. So that's actually what we can do there. Close that. Go back, I was already in tweak. Go back to panel, save as, Coles Mate Panel. Right, there we go. So we've got two saved ones now. So one for the left, one for the right. Close that up. Now what we want to do is, now we want to change the desktop now and then go back to what we had. So we'll go to panel. Let's go to Netbook first, just to make sure. Netbook always seems to be the best go-to desktop layout, and then go choose another one. Well, that's what I'm doing in this video anyway, just to make sure that the panel layouts are correct. Go back to traditional. Close that, go to appearance. Let's go back to the original ambient Mate theme. That's the default. Change desktop background. We'll choose the default for that as well. So we are now back to where we started when we started the video. So now let's go back into tweak. Let's go to let's close that. I think I need to reopen that somehow. Look and feel, Mate tweak, panel. Okay, that's because I already had it open. I had to close it to refresh it. So I was shaking in my boots a bit. I thought I did something wrong. So let's go to Coles Mate panel right. Now the interesting thing, I'd like to see whether the clock's on the left. Yes, it is. That's good. That's great. Window buttons are on the right. There's a few things that haven't saved on the panel there. So I'm not quite sure why that is. But everything else seems to be in place and quite good. So I'm happy with that. We can add some things back onto the panel there, it's not a problem. But normally they save. What will probably happen is if I do a restart, you'll probably find that they are all in place. That's what normally happens. Let's try, and then we'll go to Control Center, Appearance, Adapt to Papirus Red, Apply Background, and there we go. Now I want to try the Mate tweak and choose my original Coles Mate panel. See what that looks like. So yes, we've got a few missing launchers on that panel there. Not quite sure what happened there, but the clock is on the left, menus on the right, that's all worked out well. So more than likely, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close all this down. Actually, we've got the indicator panel here, so let's leave that as it is. I'm going to restart the system and log back in and see what it looks like. So I've restarted. Unfortunately, the indicator applet is still on the far left. I'm not quite sure why that is. And I'm missing a few launchers there. So I just want to go back to the Mate tweak and choose my right panel now that we've restarted. Now we've got the indicator panel on the right, clock on the left, menu on the right. So that all looks good. A couple of missing launchers, no problem. I will try changing back to this one. And the indicator panel has gone over there. So I'm not quite sure what's happened when I've saved that one. So as you can see, sometimes some things don't go right with the panel saving. Now it could have been something I've done wrong, so if it is, please point it out. Be happy to know. But I'm happy with this layout anyway, that's good. But I have done this in the past and it's saved all my launches and everything. So I think it gets to the stage where you can change the panel so often that it's probably best to choose your layout, maybe get rid of everything you want to get rid of, restart, and then start from there. And do a custom layout, save it, and that's a fresh restart. So that's probably the best way to do it. So what we can do, probably, I'll just try one thing here with this one before I end the video. What I'm going to do is move this indicator, if I can find the indicator, unlock, so it was locked to the panel, so there was no reason for it to move. Lock the panel. Okay. Let's put some more launchers on there. So what am I missing on my launcher? Mate tweak. It's in system tools. No. Preferences. Mate tweak. Terminal. And the Kaha or the Kaja file manager is missing as well. Pretty sure that was most of them. So let's save as. I'm not sure if it'll pick up the same name. Let's click OK. Okay, so it's been saved as that. All right. So let's change a few things around. I think sometimes it can depend on whether you're going from one type of layout to another, can mess things up as well. I've seemed to have noticed that. That's why coming from the netbook, things always seem to be in place when you're coming from the netbook. So maybe I'll try that. Coles Mate panel. So that looks good now. And it's saved these launches as well. Don't like the spacing between the launchers, but that's a bit random when you chuck them on there, so maybe the dock's a better option. But if you're happy to tweak around with that, that's fine. So you can just save it as the same name. It's not a problem. It just overwrites it by the look of it, and that's come up pretty well now. So I'm pretty happy with that. So maybe if it doesn't work out, just make a few more tweaks and then save it as the same name. So you don't really have to start from scratch. You can just work with the existing custom panel layout and tweak it a bit more and then save it again. All should be good. So that was custom panel layouts and custom themes saved, how to create and how to save. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.